It's the holiday season, and with that, we have a question that gets asked every year. What should I get that very special writer that's in your life? Well, the answer is obviously notebooks, right? It's always notebooks. No, if it's not notebooks, then perhaps pens. Really special pens. No, that's not it either. That's no. Spare yourself and your writing friends the ever-growing collections of fancy pencils and notebooks, and get them something they actually will use to help write that novel. Like the journals, they look pretty, we appreciate them, but that collection, there's only so much space over here. I mean, you have to make room for stuff like Sting. It's all about economy of space here, okay? Like let's just be honest. So here are 5 practical things that you can get that special writer in your life that they will actually enjoy and use. And I say these because I enjoy and use these things myself. Now, well, yes, a lot of this is meant to be tongue-in-cheek. I also wanted to give kind of an example of things that I'm actually using on a day-to-day basis and really enjoying and finding helpful, and something that I can put myself behind. And no, this is not sponsored. I mean, does this look like a channel that would be sponsored? No, it's not. It's really not. So this is just my thoughts. The very first thing is going to be a chair. Now, preferably you're going to want a comfortable chair. One that you can sink into when that existential dread creeps in. For me, the Shaquille O'Neal Amphion ergonomic bonded leather chair. Did I say Shaquille O'Neal? Yes, I am actually recommending this chair. It is probably the chair that I have enjoyed the most, and it's one of those chairs that just works. No matter if I'm trying to sit down and write for NaNoWriMo, or writing a script like this one and recording in it, this chair has been a super comfortable one and probably one of the best things I've bought. And I went through a shit ton of awful chairs before landing on this one, and it is definitely like my absolute favorite. The link is down below. I have no affiliate link for this or anything like that. This is literally just a chair that I recommend. And for Black Friday, they tend to put it a big on sale. I think it was on sale when I was writing the script by at least $50 to $100. So just take a look. It's worth it. It really is. The next thing that your writer friend is going to want is going to be an alternative to those notebooks. And the best alternative to journal is one that you can actually use a search function in. You can dump that unorganized mess that is your writer's brain or your friend's writer's brain onto a program and let it do the cataloging for you. Now, I personally loved Campfire Pro. It had some limitations because it was only on Steam, which would, limit you when you were out and about, but they got rid of it. So I can't recommend Campfire Pro. They have a new version that is browser-based. Now, the browser-based version is very helpful. It has a lot of the same things. I think in some places you have lost some functionality, like in the timeline and the connections and family things. I feel like those were better in Pro. But the main issue that I would have with Campfire Pro, and the main reason why I would say, hey, maybe shop around at things like Scrivener as well, is Campfire Pro does feel very pricey. It is a pricey version. You can buy each module individually and you can take your time with each module, but it's still a pricey program to go with. One thing I might suggest is focus first on the things that you really want and get those things on sale. Like, for example, one of the most helpful things that you can do with Campfire Pro is get the encyclopedia. The encyclopedia is pretty open. You can kind of put whatever you want in that. And there's a great way to kind of start building up your background and your information. And then from there, perhaps going into the characters or the timeline. I think the 2 main ones for me are going to be encyclopedia and timeline. So if you're strapped for cash, go for those, at least in my opinion. You can also pay for this in different ways. You can pay monthly, you can pay yearly, you can buy them outright, or you can just use the free versions. But honestly, the free versions, you're not going to write shit. I'm just being straight up with that. You're not going to write a damn thing with those free versions. There is not enough. But talking about free versions that are actually worth a damn, and may also be benefit from upgrading to the pay version, why not get a grammar assistant for your writer friend or yourself? Every writer needs an editor, and every editor needs a writer to edit before they send their likely shit draft to them, myself included. Before I send anything to my editor, I always run it through multiple AI editors. These editors include Grammarly and ProWritingAid. I have also used things like AutoCrit, but after using multiple different AI editors, I will always go back to Grammarly and ProWritingAid. Both of them offer a lot for free, though I would say Grammarly is probably the best free version I have experienced, and ProWritingAid offers a very good paid version. I know right now, ProWritingAid is about 50% off, so it's a good time to pick those up. Same with Grammarly. These Black Friday sales are really some of the best times to get these grammar aids. So if you want to, go ahead and grab them now. They are worth it. It is worth it, especially if you want to publish your books, but keep in mind that they alone are not going to edit your book. You still need an editor, and every single time you go through them with your AI editor, you need to check every single result and make sure it makes sense. They can also be kind of like a teaching tool. They can show you what you're doing wrong in your writing and make it a little bit better. Side note on this, there's also something really cool in ProWritingAid that if you put in the different quotations, the curly and the straight quotations, it can fix them all for you. Please do this, because my very first book, Rise, we couldn't figure out how to change from the straight to the curly, and I had them mixed up all in between because I had used multiple different versions of different writing tools, and it was a mess. My editor had to go through painstakingly and replace all these different individual quotes. I think there are some things now you can do in Word, but at least ProWritingAid has it and it's one click and you're done. The fourth thing that you can get is going to be a clicky-clacky mechanical keyboard. Initially, I was a bit hesitant to get a mechanical keyboard because I worried that the clicky-clacky sounds would get tiresome as I was writing. But I've actually had the opposite response. I found that I enjoy the sounds. It's kind of like it's just rewarding me for every letter that I press, every word that I enter in my manuscript. But if I'm really starting to not like it and I want to mute them, I just put on some music with some headphones, which is something I normally do while writing anyway. The real benefit though is how responsive they are. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's going to make you write faster or increase how many words you can get per hour. That's probably a bunch of bullshit. But I do find I enjoy the mechanical keyboard a hell of a lot more than I do the membrane-based keyboard at my day job. And that's saying a lot because I still spend more time each day using the damn membrane keyboard with its shitty membrane keys on a daily basis. You know, it's probably not just the membrane keyboard's fault. It's probably the fucking job. Speaking of muting your mechanical keyboard, let's wade into the very bitter battle of, do you listen to music while writing or do you not? Do you listen to music like or do you listen to the existential dread as the words bounce around in your head and bleed onto the page like the masters of the past? I don't know, I choose music. I almost always write with headphones, usually because when I'm writing, I'm in a busy area. And so it actually helps me to have headphones that will hold a long charge and continuous and not really bug me when I'm using them. And this is going to be a ton of personal preference, but just some nice in-ear earbuds with a long battery charge serve me well, and you don't have to spend a ton to get good ones. In fact, the two budget options that I have here for you on screen have served me very well. But if I was going to pick one or the other, I'm going to go with the JBL. But that doesn't mean that the cheaper ones aren't good too. They are very serviceable, and you won't notice a ton of difference except how they sit on your ears. All that said, if you want to go with a little bit of a higher end, I have been a huge fan of the brand Anker. Anker is a brand that I use for external batteries and all kinds of things, and they make good headphones as well. So if you want to take a look at them, you want to up your price a little bit, you're going to get a little bit more bang for your buck that way. Links to all three have been placed down below. And the sixth and final thing that I would recommend for any author or writer is going to be writing books. Shocking, right? Like absolutely shocking. No one saw that coming. But the thing that I want to mention here is that you can actually use those earbuds that I just mentioned for these books as well, because they can be listened to as an audiobook. Audiobooks are just as good as reading, and they can be very helpful, especially when you're busy and needing to go on walks and things like that. And again, not sponsored. Audible, they don't hear me. They don't care. But the books that I want to recommend specifically, there's two of them that I want to recommend that I have read and listened to recently. First is going to be On Writing and World Building by Timothy Hickson, and it comes from a YouTuber and it's narrated by another YouTuber, Murphy Napier. Honestly, out of the many writing books I've listened to or read, this stands out as one of the better ones for world building with its easy to follow examples. It also works excellently as an audiobook. But I'd also recommend World Building for Fantasy Fans and Authors by M.D. Presley. A lesser known book, but very helpful, and again, one of the better books I've read. On Writing and World Building feels more relatable, while World Building for Fantasy Fans and Authors is targeted but comprehensive. I recommend them both highly. I think it's important to get a variety of different takes when it comes to writing books, so you're not listening to too much in one place, and you're kind of creating your own style and your own understanding from multiple places. But that is what I have for you today. I hope you enjoy. I hope some of these things will come in handy for you this holiday season. And remember, the most important thing you can do for any of your writing friends is give them a fucking hug, because this shit is hard. Just give them a hug and tell them you're proud of them. Grammar is mean. Words are tough. And anyway, thank you so much for watching. My name is Mark Moore. If you want to get a separate gift and you want to make me super happy, I have links to my books down below. They have a lot of violence and war and politics and romance and all kinds of stuff like that. I consider them to be Game of Thrones without the dragons. So have at it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, whatever you do celebrate.